Alright, I am back bringing you guys another update on my price charts over here with Bitcoin, the altcoin market, stock market, as well as some other stuff we can cover today, such as some economic data that we just got, as well as what is to come, because we do have probably one of the biggest weeks ahead of us when it comes to forecasting. Are we actually going to be entering a recession sooner rather than later, or do we not have to worry? So we'll talk about that and more today. First, I do got to mention there's only one day left to get my Crypto Eagles VIP. That's my premium Discord. It's specifically for leveraged trading. So if you don't leverage trade, don't even listen to me. But if you do, if you're dead set on trying to actually day trade, whatever, it is extremely difficult to do. And that Discord is there to provide you as much value as possible so that you don't lose money, so that you can risk manage properly and actually learn yourself to become successful in doing so. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because there's only one day left to get that half off, $20 for your first month. So if you want to try it out, it's the second link in the description down below. Use code EAGLE, read about it for yourself, decide if it's worth your money or not. But with that out of the way, let's jump into the Bitcoin price action, and then we'll talk about some other stuff that I am seeing on the charts, as well as the economic calendar. So first things first, we talked about how this might be the low, it might not be, and still kind of the same story. I'm not super confident that's the low just because we got some liquidity built back here. We got some more levels to the downside that could get swept. These aren't the cleanest lows in the world, but at the same time, we had some good confluences for this being more of a macro low, such as hidden bull divs on higher term time frames, 4, 6, 8 hour hidden bull divs, higher lows on price, lower lows on the RSI. So that's a really good sign to see. Not only do we have an edge on our RSI, but you also are at an identified level of volume. So we bounced off this previous point of control down here, and we're now finding support on a point of control that is higher up. So we're kind of at a critical point, right? If this is to hold, we would want to find support here. We would want to head up and flip this top side into support. But we did find some resistance there immediately. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come down lower, right? We found a pretty sharp rejection at this point of control. We kind of talked about these two levels in yesterday's video and how probably going to chop within here because we were just stuck between these massive volume levels. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do just continue to chop throughout the entire weekend, because we are kind of going into the weekend. It is Thursday right now. So don't be surprised if there's not too much volatility. We are at a big volume range right now, right? Bitcoin has continued to chop in here. Big deviation to the upside could just continue to chop. Maybe we get a deviation to the downside next. Who really knows, right? We're never going to be able to really know what's going to happen, but we can identify these levels and understand if it's good probabilities to take a trade, or if it's a good zone overall to be loading up on maybe spot positions. And overall, I still think we're at a pretty bullish zone right now. The sentiment is terrible in the markets. A lot of people are calling for the top to already be in, and while I've made the case that yes, that could be true, overall we're still at support on the altcoin market at this big point of control. And while yes, we could come down lower if we are still in a bull market, if there is going to be a rally into election season, you're probably not going to get much better prices than right here. Yes, we could do another fail down here, like that is worst case scenario, but at this point you're going to be losing a lot of your structural edge. It would be better, in my opinion, to just kind of hold where we are right now. This point of control that we talked about on the altcoin market is a big level you want it to hold in your bullish scenario. So if we lose this, backtest it as resistance, you're going to be losing a lot of that bullish edge. So we don't necessarily want to see that happen. Once again, kind of at a critical point, right? We are coming down to test this once more. So let's see if this does become a wick. Let's see if we do kind of fire off here. Only time will tell. Let's go back to Bitcoin though. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, and we'll actually jump over here to Trading Light. I can show you where we found that resistance and how good these single prints work a lot of the times. Single prints to the upside, inefficiencies in the chart, went ahead, fulfilled this, found pretty pixel perfect resistance right at the top of the single prints after that inefficiency was filled. And you might wonder where the inefficiencies to the downside, if we're going to hunt that next, right? Where the closest single prints that we could be hunting. And while we do have a little bit of a sliver up top, kind of a fair value gap on the 30-minute time frame up there, I do think it is in the realm of possibility to do this sweep all the way down to 55,200, 55,900. This is where your next row of inefficiencies on the chart are, as well as that's big liquidity. Each one of these dashed yellow lines are sweep levels. So you can see here on the chart, these are wick lows. There's going to be a lot of liquidity placed behind. So any one of these could be swing failure patterns. And if we do get a swing failure pattern on them with good order flow, other confluences, RSI bull divs, CVD bull divs, etc., etc. These are places that I have identified to take trades at. And essentially, this is a big level to the downside. So if we were to come down lower, let's watch for a swing failure pattern. Swing failure pattern means it swings into the liquidity behind the sweep level, but then gets back above with substantial candle, closes back above, and that confirms this is the low. This is your invalidation for the trade, and you're targeting up to the next sweep level on the top side, which top side liquidity is 65,600, right? Once again, just these wick highs to the top here. These are places that could get grabbed to the upside. So there's a little bit of analysis over here on Trading Light as far as the levels go. What about the order flow? Well, we jump over here, look at the CVD open interest. This is the best thing to see what positions are doing in the order books. And you can see when we came up into this high, into those inefficiencies, we had a lot of positions being opened. Open interest going up, positions are opening. CVD is the direction those positions are opening. So are they shorts? Are they longs? Initially, lots of shorts were being opened here. After these shorts open, we then see more positions opening. These positions are now long. So a lot of shorts opening here, a lot of longs opening here. Those longs end up getting trapped and getting flushed, right? So open interest comes back down, resets all of those long positions, CVD resets. But what you notice is that these original shorts that opened within here, open interest going up, CVD going down, shorts are opening. Where does open interest go down? Well, it goes down when price goes down. So you never actually closed out these shorts. So there are still shorts open from this range here that are potentially trapped. So that could be a bullish confluence, but it's not exactly the best thing in the world that price was willing to come all the way down here, because we now have untrapped a lot of these shorts, right? The shorts were opened here. Price is now back in that range. So we'll see if price wants to get back above and trap those shorts, because they are still open in the market. Open interest has not closed out those shorts yet. So we'll see. But overall, more longs are being opened anyway. A lot of longs got trapped. But the nice thing is most of them have been closed out of the market. Maybe not all of them though. So don't be so surprised if open interest dips lower. If price dips lower, would make a lot of sense. Order flow isn't giving us too much of an edge either direction, to be honest, but just some interesting noteworthy stuff you do see here using CVD open interest. Now, getting off of Bitcoin, let's go over to the economic calendar, because I said we had some data today that was definitely noteworthy as well, and that would be the unemployment claims. Unemployment data is the biggest factor in the markets right now, in my opinion, because this will signal a recession is imminent if it continues to rise. And while it has gone up since August 15th, only slightly, and that's because last week it was very far under expectations, and now we're just going back to the mean kind of. This is coming in at or just below expectations. So I'm not sure why the actual on this plot says 231, this actual says 232. I'm assuming it's pretty much right in the middle, just a rounding error there, but you will see the forecast was 232. So right within the forecast of unemployment claims, which signals that next week when we have the actual unemployment rate come out, the rate will probably be at or below the forecasted rate, which is 4.2%. So what does 4.2% do for us? Does that actually bring down our trend, or is that a continuation? Of course, we do not want a continuation. That would signal a recession is imminent. And luckily, since we're at 4.3, a 4.2 would mean trend slows down. So I would expect when we go into next month, unemployment rate goes down slightly, and then that's where you could see it resume. So not anything too crazy, right? If this were to play out, still probably going to enter a recession very soon here, but this might be after election season. So we'll see what happens here. But I do think just this little bit of let up in the unemployment rate is going to give markets some more headway. And we could still have a lot of euphoria around this time, right? We're coming into election season. If we maintain in this range, I don't think participants are going to be too scared to go ahead and pump prices for the historical bullish election months. And then who knows, even though trend is up, no reason we couldn't see a couple months of downward sloping trend there until we do fire off into the true recession in 2025. That's when I believe the recession is going to take place. I know everybody thinks that the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin is going to play out. I've been a big advocate against believing that because it is more correlated with the stock market than anything. And unemployment trending up with the inverted yield curve, with the Fed cutting rates, all of this does signal a recession is coming sooner rather than later. So if there's any time to be bullish, it is now or never. So let's see if unemployment can trend down here on the short term. Let's see if we can beat expectations next week. That is going to be next Friday. So it's a big day for us in the markets. And then after next week, once we get this unemployment rate, we'll get some CPI numbers. So it'll tell us what inflation is doing. And then of course, September 18th is a massive day as well. That'll be our next federal funds rate. We'll see what Jerome Powell says about all of this and what they're going to do. Currently, it is predicted that this will be their first rate cut in quite some time, but it will only be 25 basis points is what is being predicted right now, which is not bad. We just don't want them to cut 50 basis points. This would signal that there is something majorly wrong, right? Because they're cutting to stimulate the economy. So the more they cut, the more they need to stimulate the economy. So let's just hope that it is though 25 basis points, and you'll probably see a lot of euphoria up into those rate cuts because retail believes it is bullish, and that will probably be used as exit liquidity. So tops usually come in when the Fed does cut rates. So if that thesis is to play out, then we would see a rally into rate cuts, not necessarily after them. But of course, with election season and all of that, we could see the rally after it. We'll just have to wait and see how this does all play out. But now let's go ahead, cover some other charts such as the dollar. Not exactly the falling knife we were hoping for, but still at resistance. We're coming back up to test the low end range once again. So let's see if this is going to be a rejection and we can go down and start making lower lows on the macro, or if this is going to reclaim as support and head on up. This is inversely correlated with Bitcoin, so we don't necessarily want this to flip into support. So time will tell what's going to happen here. Once again, kind of just need to give it a week, let this big unemployment data come out, and then I'm sure the dollar will pick the direction it wants to go based on that, based on what CPI does in a couple weeks from now. Not really too much to go off of immediately. We go over to the Russell. Once again, finding resistance up at this point of control. We didn't quite get down to the value area low, so definitely could be the time where we go all the way back down and then potentially start the bullish move up. So still just kind of chopping in this range. Not really too much to say when it does come to the Russell. We go over to the S&P, and very similar story there. Came back up to value area high, so that's actually pretty good because now this high is not nearly as good. Probably going to grab all of this at some point. Somewhat of a similar story to Bitcoin, just a lot of liquidity being built up there. You would expect this to get grabbed, but similar to our other charts, we're just kind of in the middle of our range. Let's see if we can hold support where support is, and then we'll just be watching all of these levels within here to see if we can maintain the range, if we're going to sweep the range. A lot of possibilities here, not too much to go off of in the immediate term. A lot of stuff on the charts right now is going to be wavering on what unemployment does, so we kind of got to wait for next week. But so far, so good. I like that we're holding our points of control here on Bitcoin. Still think there's a good chance the low is in, but not super confident on it. I'm not saying to put your whole life savings in right now. Absolutely not. And furthermore, just stay vigilant because you never know that the top isn't in for Bitcoin, and this could all fall apart, especially if these recession fears do in fact come true. But if you have any questions about anything I talked about or just want to join the community for this channel, link to my Discord is in the description down below. Below that link is my VIP Discord that I talked about at the beginning of this video, and below those links are a bunch of my exchange partners, some of which have exclusive limited time events specifically for those using my referral links to sign up. So don't miss out on that. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.